You're adding extra steps. Just throw the comforter in the washing machine.
That's not as easy as you think it is.
It is. I do that. I do my own laundry.
Well,
It's one of the few
for
things
your
I
twin-size Ninja Turtles comforter fits a little better.
First of all, I have a queen-size bed, and it's a Disney comforter. It is not Ninja Turtles.
Do you, hold on, jokes aside, do you have a Disney comforter on your bed?
No, I have a Haunted Mansion one, which is technically Disney.
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, a show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about The King of Queens. The King of Queens went 207 episodes over 9 seasons on CBS. Today we're talking about episode 1, which was called Pilot, originally airing September 21st, 1998. So to get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me as always, the boys, Joe, Ferg, Nick, and Gordo. What's going on, guys?
Heyo.
Yo,
Would you do Hillary?
not on your life.
We'll get it there deeper, but maybe if she had some deli mustard on her.
Okay.
Guys, this is an S1E1 show. We have mustard, we have ham, we've got weird sex things.
Weird sex things, huh?
So, no, it's a Joe show. Don't lump us in with your
the
creepy
quirky
mustard
cannoli
shit.
Joe show.
Okay, first of all, second of all, look, I like those things. I like ham and I like mustard and I like naked Hillary Clinton. All right, so sue me, okay?
Just funny thinking, like, you know, like the food foreplay with like whipped cream and chocolate. And Joe walks in with mustard and ham.
Also, that would stain your skin for so long. Like, there's no getting cleaned up for dinner and no one knowing about it later.
Yeah, but the whole gag is I'm like, let me clean it off you, like a cat.
This is one of very few spinoffs we've done.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's like,
Yeah.
It's been debated too, because it's like not.
I don't feel like it's a spinoff personally, but
I don't either.
It is, though.
Well, he appears as Doug in Everybody Loves Raymond. And then I think we had got like fact checked before, because this was an episode we were going to do like top 10 episodes, like when we first started. And then we were like, no, it's a spinoff. We have to do Everybody Loves Raymond first. So we switched it and did that one. Like, it's literally like, I think in our top 10 episodes or so. And then someone yelled at us and said, it's not a true spinoff, but doesn't matter. But then here we are 3 years later, finally doing it, because for whatever reason, we just then never did King of Queens. It just got away from us.
And Ray Barone does make a lot of appearances on King of Queens later on, too.
They live in the same universe for sure.
Yeah.
And then I forget if it was because like the show came out and then he appeared on Everybody Loves Raymond I don't remember exactly how it went. And I really should have just done that tiny bit of homework before we started recording, but I didn't.
He's on it later seasons, though. Ray doesn't come onto it right away.
And Kevin James also portrays Doug in Becker and that show Cosby, like the Bill Cosby's later show where he still had like the same wife, but it wasn't the same universe.
Yeah, it was still Felicia Rashad, but it wasn't the Cosby Show. And it was after the Cosby...
They weren't the Huxtables in that one, yeah. And I think Dougie Doug was in that one.
No, Dougie Doug, wasn't he in Becker?
I think Dougie Doug's in Cosby.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of, I forget his name. The actor who plays the DJ in PCU is in Becker.
Oh, no, yeah. Dougie Doug's from Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings, yeah.
Just really quick, Kevin James' name on Everybody Loves Raymond is Kevin, not Doug.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
This was always a show that was on in the background. My parents liked it. I would like catch it occasionally. And I love Patton Oswalt, so I'd just like see it around. But we watched all of it a few years ago, like all the way
Yeah,
through.
and sorry, I keep reading, and I guess Kevin played somebody that Ray worked with. They wrote that character off and then brought Doug Heffernan in.
Oh, so he plays two different people on that
Yeah,
series.
so it was just like a weird character thing. So I don't really know. I guess I can see why it's so murky as far as a spinoff goes, though.
And then, yeah, for me, I've watched the show and I've seen like probably a good amount of it, but I never like watched a lot of King of Queens like consistently to know like storylines and things like that.
It's always been a background show.
Yeah.
Like I've never like gone out of my way to sit down. Having said that, I've seen a ton of it in the background. Like it's just always on.
Because it was always on. And it was always at that like dinner time where like you just have the TV playing in the background growing up.
It makes it like a sitcom in its like truest sense that you could just turn it on and it's randomly on television and you could just stop and watch it and you don't really need to know what's going on. You could just catch an episode.
I will say though, as somebody who watched all of it in the past few years, it holds up the whole way through.
I also love Jerry Stiller.
Of course, man, what a hero.
Well, yeah.
R.I.P.
This was always on right when we got home from school. So it was my I just got home show.
What was the other show that was on right around this time? Yesteryear. Yesteryear was also a right after school sitcom block show.
Yesterday might be the first show I ever hate watched. I've seen like every episode. And I hated it then.
You do that more than
I hate it
anybody
now.
though. Like you it's in your heart, man. You love to like there's just so much hate in you. You love hate watching things. We mentioned Jerry Stiller. He wasn't even originally supposed to play Arthur. Like they filmed the pilot without him originally.
Really?
See, I would have guessed. Okay, I didn't look into this, but I would have guessed he was the guy to get the others, right? Like he was the name you bring in to kind of bait other actors into getting on the show.
I mean, this is coming right after Seinfeld, so
They had the show like ready basically, and I think that they had him in mind, but he wasn't available at the time. So Jack Carter originally filmed the pilot as Arthur. And then when he became available, they switched it up and they just kind of refilmed.
Who would I know Jack Carter as?
He's just one of those career actors. He has on IMDb has 193 credits. He just acted forever. He was the voice of Wiener on Ren and Stimpy.
Did you just laugh out loud at the name Wiener?
Yeah, of course.
That's a show I haven't thought of in forever. Ren and Stimpy.
Stimpy.
Stempy.
He did it again.
It's not Stempy.
it's an I.
We've had this discussion on the podcast before. It's Stimpy.
It will never not be Stempy.
Then it'll never be correct.
No, it will never be Stempy.
Ren and Stimpy.
They never call him Stimpy, though. They call him Stempy.
Nobody calls him Stempy. What are you talking about?
Stop feeding into Gordo right now. He's just doing this on purpose.
No.
Anyways, I don't want to take too long before we get into the episode itself because we got a lot to cover and not a lot of time to do it. So, show opens and we see Carrie, who's, the whole show focuses around this couple, right? Doug and Carrie. Carrie, played by Leah Remini, who, up until now, I just knew her as Stacey Carosi from that, like, Saved by the Bell, works at the beach hotel.
I feel like for our generation, that's where we first saw her, right?
But why was that only a few episodes and feels like it was a whole damn show?
That's like that's like Saved by the Bell as a whole. Like overall, there weren't that many episodes of that show.
There was a good amount, but like the beach thing with her and her dad, that was literally a few episodes.
That felt like a full season though, the like Miami Beach thing. She's also one of Nick and Carla's kids in Cheers.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I can't remember if I would have seen her. Yeah, she's one of the Tortelli girls, so I can't remember if I saw her in that first or Saved by the Bell first, but
Did she make it into the spinoff?
I'm not sure she's in the Tortellis, which we definitely need to cover.
We do need to cover at some point, yeah. And then she's in the kitchen and she's just like on the phone with her friend. And it's basically through the conversation with her friend, you're hearing that she got the TV delivered that they had just ordered, came in, it's gigantic, way bigger than the old one. Did you happen to read that this kitchen that they're in, if it looked familiar, is because it was the kitchen that was used from Grace Under Fire?
I love that so much. Yeah, the same blue fridge. Grace Under Fire, the show with the superior Dave Thomas.
I went to Wendy's recently and it was damn tasty.
FYI, she was also in Who's the Boss, too. She played somebody named Charlie Briscoe in 2 episodes.
Probably Samantha's friend, yeah.
Yeah.
How old is she in this?
What year did this come out? She was born in 1970.
This is 97.
98?
So she's
She's
27.
27.
Okay.
And as she's on the phone, you hear someone coming in through the front door in the other room. So we cut to the living room, and that's when we meet Doug, and that's played by Kevin James. Kevin James, I don't think was really known. This is what you know him from, right? Like he's had such a career after in a bunch of movies. And
Yeah, so much stuff later, but this is the big thing. Aside from if you're Mick Foley and you knew him as your wrestling.
yeah, they're on the same wrestling team. Yeah. And he walks in, he works as like a driver, like a UPS like company. You know, they give him that same dark brown uniform to like almost completely mimic the UPS driver.
The company is IPS, and every time we watched it, I thought they were saying IBS when we first did it. And I was like, that feels like they should have picked a different letter. You know what I mean?
Wrong occupation, too, if you want to just sit and be stuck in a truck all day with no bathroom.
Hey, those doors were open.
But then they can use the logo, what can Brown do for you? Brings a whole new meaning.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Hey, way to go, bud.
Hey,
Gordo just disappears from the episode now. It's like, I'm out. See you later. Leave on a high note.
Yeah, so Doug walks in and he's yelling out at some kid who's making fun of his short shorts, and Carrie walks up to him and lets him know, like, hey, like, I have some big news for you. He's like, oh, you're pregnant. He's like, yes. He's like, no. He's like, oh, thank God. You know, we find out that there's a surprise for him in the basement, something that she arranged to have delivered 3 days early. That's when he runs down, sees the TV, and it was like, Boyd is like seeing this TV instantly kind of date the show.
Oh my, not kind of, like totally. Yeah.
I want to talk about his room, but the TV thing, I don't know if you guys ever come across these. They pop up every once in a while. Somebody will scan like a full circular ad from when we were kids in like the 90s. You can go through and be like, VHS sale, or like, this is what TVs cost, or like laptop computers that have like nothing in them that are like $800. I went looking and found a few today for TV sales in 1997. I couldn't find anything that was as big as 70 inches, but I did find that if you buy a 70-inch TV today, it's about $3,000. And to buy a 70-inch TV then...
Oh, you're looking in the wrong...
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I have a 70-inch TV. Believe me, I did not spend that much.
It's a really nice TV. It's 3D. But it's like $6,000 in today's money she spent on that TV then. For a rear projection CRT TV that... Do you remember when people had those TVs if you like looked from an angle?
The worst picture I've ever seen.
And you couldn't see anything if you were at like any angle that wasn't straight ahead of
You
it.
can actually see because they show you from behind that TV and those big, there's like these big indents on the back. And those are like the red, green, blue projection things that project onto the thing. My aunt and uncle had one of those and it was big. But it was the worst picture I've ever seen. Like, I never understood why anybody would ever want one of those. It doesn't, the size is not worth the bad quality.
It's just so funny now they're so cheap and they're so light. And back then it was like a piece of furniture. And like the biggest piece of furniture you owned, it was like the size of like a hutch.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he's, he runs up, gives the thing a hug. He's in love with this TV. So by the addition of this television, now his basement is complete. He has like this kind of man cave situation. I think we've done this before with that 70s show. This basement gave me Nick's basement vibes.
Yeah,
it's
very
the
much
wood
so.
paneling, yeah.
I think the amenities are a little nicer. It's a little bit more, he's got some nice stuff in there,
It's like a bar, a drum set, a foosball table.
I just say Carrie's such a better wife than Deborah.
Oh my God. So I did want to talk about this, and I do. That's one of my favorite things about this show. Not necessarily the pilot, but just this show in general. Is the whole fucking the wife hates the husband thing is not always there, right? Like they bicker and stuff, obviously. But like Deborah and Raymond really comes to mind. Deborah does not like Raymond at all. Like at all. There's never any kind of like you never feel the love between them.
Yeah, she's a dirty bitch.
Right, but then you have people like Roseanne's a good example. They like each other. Like they like each other. And they bicker, and I get that vibe from this, and I like that because I hate when the couple just obviously doesn't like each other. It drives me nuts.
She truly loves him. She supports him. She gets him a TV. Let's be honest, she's the breadwinner of the family because she's a lawyer.
And she sets boundaries too, though. You know what I mean? Like with the friends and stuff. She's like, because it seems like she was very like almost like servant to him, like in these first couple minutes, like doing all this stuff for him, but. She's also not afraid to be like, okay, get the fuck out of my house. So
she was also pro him having his friends over to watch the new TV that she got him.
She invited them over. She's the one who called them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where Deborah would have been like, I hate your parents.
That's what I was going to say, though. Yeah. I don't think Deborah hates Raymond. I just think that it's deep-seated hatred of Raymond's parents that it manifests.
Yeah, but if you remember that pilot, she got mad that he went and got soda.
It's like soda and a piece of pizza with a friend. Yeah, I know.
While his grandparents were babysitting because she hates them so much that even when she's not home, she doesn't want them near the children. Like, come on.
Terrible first impression.
This is a very different situation in this show, yeah. But I was going to say, too, the way that they presented this first scene with him walking down, and man, I love it down here. Like, this is just like, I just feel so much better when I'm down here, and it's finally complete. The second this all happened, I'm like, he's losing it. He's going to lose it.
You
this
know right
episode.
away.
There's no way he's keeping this. They made too much focus on how much he loves it, and it's important to him.
I honestly feel like because I work from home, I'm in a situation where like I sort of can't lose that, because I don't like to call it a man cave. I call mine a boy hole. I have a special sign and everything.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
I don't like the term man cave, so I call it a boy hole. I have a sign.
How is boy hole better?
This is my boy hole. Guys, I'm in my boy hole all day long.
First off, this would be something that under normal circumstances I would expect Gordo to say, and
Yeah.
like be like a premeditated thing.
100%.
I'm not sure if you realize how it sounds when you say that I like to hang out in my boy hole. Like that's not an okay
You pay
thing.
a toll?
I don't like the term man cave. Look, you can see it. We can post it on the podcast later, but Joe's boy hole.
That's not helping.
You have a sign that points to your boy hole.
Do you guys want to come over and hang out in my boy hole?
No, I will never come over now.
I was trying to set up a barbecue. We don't have to. We'll be outside most of the time, but I would like to show you my boy hole because you guys haven't been to the house. Gordo, you've seen my boy hole. I've shown you.
No, I never got past your kitchen.
Why didn't you see my boy hole? You were here.
You didn't give me a tour of your house.
Oh, your wife was here. No, your wife was here. It was probably an issue with the boy hole with your wife being here. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's weird because we only see them for a second, but we do meet his friends really quickly in the episode. In this scene in the beginning, and when they go to race down the stairs, there's that like they literally fall down the stairs as one unit.
I was like, how did they fake this? They all took some serious bumpage going down those stairs.
It's just funny because I thought two people fall down the stairs and there's a fucking third guy in the pile.
Deacon,
Like, what the hell?
Deacon's like 6'3", like he's a big guy, and he fell on Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, Deacon's like a tall dude. That would have, yeah.
Also, is this the? I have two questions about is this the biggest gap between like attractive and just kind of like the slovenly curmudgeon husband? And is it the first like real evidence of this?
Honeymooners is how it all began, really.
Yeah.
But also, I know that's kind of like the trope, and I think with this particular show, it's like one of those examples that are often used. But looking back, Leah Remini is a beautiful woman. Don't get me wrong. And I've actually been on record, like, I'm not Kevin James's biggest fan. Like, I don't dislike him, but like, he, for whatever reason, doesn't do it for me as much as other people. I don't think they look like a completely unbelievable couple. Like, he's a little bigger, but he's not like an ugly guy.
She is exceptionally attractive.
No, in the 90s, this would be odd couple, so to speak, quote unquote.
I don't think so, personally.
I mean, it's not always going to be Aunt Becky and Uncle Jesse, right? Like, those are two insanely attractive people together. That's a very other kind of trope, right? But like, I'm with Jay. I think this looks like a couple you'd see and be like, that makes sense. This guy did better for himself.
I would say here too, like looking at Kevin James here, like he's a hefty guy. I'm a hefty guy, so maybe that's why I'm defending him. But looking at him here, right? He's also not nearly as big as he got to be. So when you look at him in this particular episode,
Really,
like,
I thought he was pretty big here compared to his.
No,
biggest.
look at later seasons of him, and look at Paul Blart and things like that, and he's a much bigger dude. And then he's like myself. He's gone back and forth many times. He's big here, but he's not like grotesquely fat or anything like that, where it's like alarming.
Also talked about this before, though. Funny trumps a lot.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
can.
Yeah.
Funny can trump a lot of stuff. Funny and a good personality. I mean, everybody on this has outkicked their coverage, whether it's currently or previously, right? Like sometimes just having a good personality and, or being funny, like you can do better.
And at this point, she is a Scientologist, right?
Yes.
At this time of recording, she is?
Yeah, because I think she was in it young, right?
Yeah. Because her family was.
Yeah.
But now she's, I believe, what they call a suppressive person.
Now she's like hardcore against it. Yeah. Now she's like trying to take them down.
I've spent hours and hours watching documentaries and listening to documentaries about the Scientologists, and
Of course you have.
it is a wild ride to go through all of that shit.
From here we get into the intro. This was something I did not realize, that the intro I come to know of the show isn't until season 2.
Baby, all my life I will be running
Yeah.
home to you.
So when I see this, we just get like the quick kind of like title screen with like a, like brief, like 6-second thing.
Oh, so this isn't just a pilot thing? This is
First season.
Because I looked it up after because I was like, this isn't right. I thought maybe, sometimes like DVD copies and stuff, they won't use the whole intro. I thought it was something like that for streaming purposes, a condensed version. No, this was the whole first season was like this.
I think, though, in syndication, and when I streamed it, they didn't. I think they added the theme song.
Can I tell you that for the longest time, I didn't get the name of the show?
What did you think?
King of Queens.
I thought it was like a card game pun when I was younger, and I could never wrap my head around it.
If you had said, I thought the show was about like him and multiple women, like, oh, he lives with his wife, sister, and mother, like, sure, that I would get. Like, but the fact that he's in New York and it's like the King of Queens.
Well, I get it now.
How long is the sister around for, by the way? Because I
Just
don't
the
remember
season.
her.
I don't remember her either.
Yeah, I don't
She
either.
disappears and Richie disappears at different points. Like, just gone.
So it's like, I must have not have seen very much of this first season because I didn't even know this character existed.
Yeah, that other, what's her name? I forgot the other blonde girl. She kind of becomes like the second female.
Nancy Sullivan.
Can I ask too about Richie? I might just be typecasting. Was Sebastian Maniscalco ever on this show?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't think he was acting before, while this was still on.
Okay, because I think I might have just confused the dumb Italian guy with maybe being him because they're kind of similar.
I also just watched a really weird movie with him the other day where he was playing Giorgio Moroder.
Oh, that's the person. we all
Giorgio.
know.
Famous composer. They did Midnight Express, Call Me by Blondie. They did the whole soundtrack for American Gigolo.
Oh, not like a classical composer.
No, like a modern composer from the 70s and 80s. He's like one of the biggest dance music producers of all time. You'd know like a million of the things he did,
You
but
can't say modern from the 70s.
consider modern composer. Yes, for the 70s, that is
Yeah,
different
like-
than Mozart.
Yeah, not Mozart.
Usually when people say composer,
You guys, I told you guys a million times, if you go back and you listen to some of Bach's stuff from the 80s when he got into some synth, like I thought it was some of his better work. It didn't do the same sales.
Bach that ass up.
Yeah.
for a second I thought you were going to go with Beethoven in Bill and Ted's joke. That's what you're trying to do there, but
I always preferred Rock Me Amadeus.
I found out did we talk about the Canadian Rock Me Amadeus in the chat?
I
No.
don't think so.
It came up on a podcast where somebody was like, have you ever heard the Canadian version of Rock Me Amadeus? And I was like, what could that be? Look this up later. It's fucking wild. So the Canadian dance version of Rock Me Amadeus has a talking bridge where it just lists off facts, where it's like, the music's going and it's like, 1744, Mozart is like, da 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 da. And at the end it's like, and then the song came out, Rock Me Amadeus. And it goes like, it just all these facts about his life. It's fucking insane, but it was only in Canada. It's so weird. I made Kelsey listen to it and she was like, why would you make me listen to this?
Anyways, we get into the next scene, which is a continuation from the scene before. Only it's like a little later on, and all the guys are just kind of hanging out in the basement. And Doug's very excited, just going through the remote. And he's like, look at this. He's kind of going with how quick the channels are flashing back and forth when he uses it. Kind of one of the things you do forget when you remember like your old TVs, how it would like take a couple seconds to switch channels.
And before digital guide.
Picture in picture also, I thought was, it's weird. Like my phone kind of does picture in picture now and I use it all the time. But as far as TV went, I always thought it was like the silliest, it was like the coolest feature on televisions, but it's like not practical in use.
No, it was great when you were trying to watch sports, but you were also trying to watch a TV show.
I think for sports in the corner is the only time it really makes sense.
I agree, yeah.
It also kind of got phased out because you don't see it at all on TVs anymore.
AEW does it, but it doesn't work because wrestling doesn't work.
Well, they do that like during commercials and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's like picture-in-picture commercial thing, but the feature to be able to like switch but keep it in the corner, that's not a thing on newer TVs.
I have one. My TV is probably 8 or 10 years old, but I have that feature. I don't think I've ever used it once in my life.
It was a lot, like, technologically speaking, it was much easier to do, like, when it's just, like, antenna analog.
Yeah.
Now that, like, everything's digital, like, it requires a lot more processing power, so I think that's why you're just not seeing it as much now, because like Joe said, like you can buy $300 70-inch TVs, and that's not because there's really good electronics inside. You know what I mean? Like it's cheap shit in there. So
I don't know if this is like an iPhone feature as well. Like I'm a Android guy, so I assume both phones will do it. But can you watch like YouTube videos and then like back away from the app and it will like play the video like just in the corner and you can move it around?
Yeah.
All right. So like I use that sometimes. Like I'll put like a YouTube thing on and then I'll close it and I'll like play a game while still like kind of listening to the video and doing stuff like that.
My Sling app does that if I'm watching like the news or something, or if like a big news thing's happening and I want to like hear it, but I still want to like, check Instagram or whatever. You could just, move the picture around.
Yeah. So with some videos, I like to do that, but on the TV itself, when you would kind of need the audio from both, it's not really practical.
Like, look at me, I'm watching 2 different kinds of porn.
Well, I guess I guess you could use it. Depends on how much you need the audio. And by the way, the thing that they're watching right now, they have like the news on, and that's Joe. You started off with the "Would you do Hillary" thing. Like that's where this conversation comes up because that's Richie the Deacon asking if he would.
Would you do Hillary?
I think I said in the beginning of the episode in '98.
Absolutely not.
I think the argument though is like if given the opportunity to sleep with a first lady, you just kind of have to, right?
And that's what Deacon says. He just says,
Yeah.
"It's the first lady, man. You have to."
I don't know. Bill had the opportunity and he went elsewhere, so it can't be very good.
If you're gonna go with one though, you go Nancy Reagan.
We've had this conversation, and I think you originally went with Barbara Bush.
He did. He 100% went with Barbara
He said
Bush.
Barbara Bush's body too, of all things.
But look up, like if anyone hasn't done this before, look up Nancy Reagan and the word blowjob
Throat.
because
Oh yeah.
or throat or whatever. I was trying to not be crass, but I said blowjob. Fuck me.
I wanted to be more classy about it, so I said blowjob.
Not throat goat.
Yeah, she's a throat goat. Gordo's just fucking awful.
We're above class right now. Well, you sit in your boy's hole, all right?
Like if Nancy Reagan wanted to come into my boy hole, I would let her.
Well, going right past that, the whole "would you do Hillary" thing, I think is fine. Like those are conversations like guys have, right? But at this point, I'm already so sick of Richie. Like I can't stand him. I really
like
can't.
him.
Are you sick of him? Are you sick of him because we just did an entire extravaganza and he's clearly doing a Tony Danza impersonation?
He's pretending to be like, even I don't know if he's Italian in real life or not, but he's just playing into every stereotypical like voice. It's too much of a caricature of that character type, and it was just too annoying for me.
He's an Italian guy from Queens. That's how they talk.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's because like it's like when people make fun of the Boston accent. You're like, we don't really talk like that, but there are people who do talk like that.
Sure, to a
and
degree,
there
but
are people who do act like this guy in Queens, like for sure.
I feel like he's performing as if you were going to be the same character in the King of Queens musical. Like that's how you would perform that on stage for Broadway, like that big, over dramatic style.
I hate delivering packages. I want to write the musical so bad. Also, no one said Queens yet, which I had to do that because that is all I think of when people say Queens. Is Eddie Murphy when he finds where they should go to America and coming to America, he just goes Queens, which is the funniest thing ever.
During that conversation, we hear Carrie from upstairs. I was saying earlier how I did like the balance of her character where, she's yelling at him, enough with the TV, time to get these guys out of here. So, it is a more balanced relationship, I think, than what we're seeing in the first minute, where she just seems to be like anything for my husband, which wasn't quite believable at first. She's still like primo wife, but I like that she sets boundaries.
They also both have early jobs. Like you see in the more like
The time, I thought about this too. It was very strange. Because first of all, he gets home in the dark, wearing shorts, and goes downstairs for a while with his friends, and then comes upstairs at 6 o'clock. What time of year is it? What time did he get home? How long? Like, it was really strange that it was that early still, because I was expecting it to be like, all right, time to go to bed, honey. Like, and it was 6 o'clock.
This is what actually messed me up a little bit, because when he came home from work and it was dark and all that stuff, okay, so end of the workday, let's say, he gets home, maybe it's around 6, whatever, when you would normally get home if he has standard kind of 9 to 5 hours. Then his friends come over. Then he spends time with his friends and watches TV. until eventually the wife's like, okay, guys, enough. They file out, they leave. And then he's like, hey, how about we, watch a movie tonight? And she's like, we can't. We have to go to my father's for dinner. And you go, what time are they going by his house for dinner?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There's also the scene too, right before the shaving scene, where she comes out of the shower, and in my brain I was like, oh, it's a before bed shower. And then they're like, then it's the morning. So like, yeah, the time frame of this is all thrown off.
All right, so I think we're all assuming that this is the same day, and it's not. I think.
Well, this is the day. Yeah, this is.
I don't think it is, because he has established rules for the TV and stuff, and the friends were already. I think he's been watching TV all week.
That's a good point. I guess it could be.
Well, she says 3 days early, though, because of football. So
3 days early because of football. Yeah, Sunday. And they clearly, this was a continuation. They came over to watch the TV, and then it's like, okay, enough, you guys got to leave. I didn't think that there was nothing to insinuate that it was a different day.
Yeah, I think they're wearing the same clothes.
Well, it's a uniform. He wears it every day.
Is he still in the uniform downstairs?
I can't remember, but
I don't remember when I think he's wearing his fun clothes.
Well, then it's a different day, because he didn't change in that scene.
Ferg, you're 100% wrong. I am more than confident that this is a continuation of the scene right before.
All right, then this show is poorly written. Cancel.
Oh, okay.
Good night, everybody.
Well, now they're having this dinner conversation, and he definitely does not want to go to his father-in-law's for dinner. She's like, well, you need to, work on your excuses. I think, what was it that he said last time?
He fell in a well, or was stuck in a well.
He fell in a well, yeah.
he fell in a well. So stupid.
That was a big thing when we were kids, though, Baby Jessica.
Lassie.
Yeah, but
Lassie.
even this is too far past that, isn't it? What year was this again, Jay? Sorry.
This is 97, so Baby Jessica is like 12 years before that. And this is probably closer to The Simpsons, sending our love down the well, all the way down. Because that would have been early 90s.
It's definitely a Lassie reference, because little Timmy got stuck in the well, and that was always a joke in the 90s.
Well, he says he choked. He couldn't think of a good excuse at the moment, and he just kind of panicked and said that. But he's going on to be like, come on, I just want to spend the night with you tonight. Like, he said it's been days since he's enjoyed her. And I was like, ew.
I do love him, though. He's like, I want to enjoy you and open a box of wine. Like, Kevin, God, Doug's night sounds amazing.
I liked his follow-up joke. It made the phrase less creepy when he said, and I assume it's been months since you've enjoyed me. So he was able to kind of use that little self-deprecating joke to kind of spin it.
Yeah.
Every other sitcom, she would have made that joke.
Right.
Exactly.
But she's a fucking 10 wife, all right? She's the best.
Would you rank her so far of the shows that we've done? Would you say so far she's like number one TV wife?
She's at least top 3.
Without really thinking about it, I feel like, yeah, she's has to be top 3.
She's definitely up there for sure.
I'll put her at number 1 until you can tell me who would be better.
I'd have to go through our list of episodes, but right now for me, she's number 1.
I'm not saying you couldn't dethrone her. I'm saying
we got a lot of support. A very supportive, understanding wife in Home Improvement.
No, Jill's terrible.
Jill is very supportive. He almost burns the house down every day.
Jill is given a reason to leave every day of her life and doesn't.
I bought another car and I was burning the house down. Oh. She should be fucking gone.
we're also putting looks into account here.
I thought we were just saying like ride or die material.
No, I'm saying all around.
I think it's an unfair comparison to compare like 20-something-year-old Leah Remini to, you know.
No, I'm not putting looks into it. I don't mean it like that, but like, I'd put another one. Marge Simpson, who we did on Christmas. She's another top 10 ride or die. Earl Sinclair's wife was another classic sitcom wife. Not Deborah, because she's at the bottom of the list.
What about Peggy Bundy?
I was thinking Peggy Bundy.
They have a weird relationship. I wouldn't say that's like goals. That's not the relationship any of you want.
Who we talking?
Peggy Bundy.
If we're going by looks, again, how will we?
We're not going by
We're
looks.
not going
by
by
looks.
established we're not doing that.
Claire Dunphy. Claire Dunphy is another good one.
Oh yeah, she is good.
Claire's top 10.
He's able to convince her to cancel. So, and now we cut to later on, and they're hanging out in the basement together, and they're watching TV, and Doug's just admiring his new remote. You know, they just kind of they're agreeing to terms of sex. Really, like it's always weird. Like when you're just talking about like, so should we have sex now versus like when it naturally happens.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing to like work your way into it that way.
Hey, are you ready to have some sex now? Yeah, I'm kind of in the mood. Like, I don't know, there's something so weird about that. I know that happens, but I don't know, takes the magic away a little.
They both work full-time jobs. They both have conflicting schedules and whatnot. You know, you got to make time when you can, and when you schedule it.
Sure. I just think in that moment it's already implied that it could possibly be happening tonight now that they're alone and like hanging out. Even though, I mean, they at this moment they are a couple that just lives alone in this big house. Just make a move. Like put your arm around her or something, like kiss her cheek. Like, you don't have to
Just
be
go
like,
for it.
you ready to have some sex? She's been watching Denzel Washington, so she's good to go.
Did anybody have an idea of what movie it might be? Because I immediately thought of a Denzel movie.
They're probably watching Fallen.
I just always assume it's Training Day, but I don't know.
This is pre-Training Day.
Fallen, yeah, it would be 98.
I was thinking Ricochet, which is a 1991 movie where he is the hero cop and John Lithgow is the serial killer foil in it. But you definitely see Denzel side hog in that movie.
Well, no, she wouldn't have brought up Denzel if it was John Lithgow. She would have been like, look at sexy John Lithgow.
I'm sorry, what?
First of all, watch Ricochet. It's an amazing, insane movie. But Denzel
Side
Washington,
hog?
you see it side hog.
I don't think the rules apply the same as they do for boobs. I think if you see side hog, you just see hog.
What if it's Denzel side hog though?
I didn't see that movie.
Great movie, great side hog.
There was two things Denzel Washington was in 1997. Happily Ever After, Fairy Tales for Every Child. He played Humpty Dumpty, Crooked Man, and King Omar. And also Mother Goose, a Rappin' Ryman special where he also played
Oh, I remember that.
Humpty Dumpty. It's just really funny thinking that that's what got Leah Remini going.
I mean, we're in the VCR era here. They could be watching anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Virtuosity. That's what I'm going with.
Ooh, great one with Russell Crowe.
I love that movie. Yeah.
When they go in and start kissing, there's like, you can hear, this is in front of a live studio audience, by the way, every episode was of the show. You can hear one guy go, yeah. They start kissing.
One of my favorite things, and I wish we tracked this at the beginning, is there's always a scene in every episode in front of a live studio audience where somebody does something weird. And I would love the mega cut of like every time somebody takes their shirt off and one guy goes, yep. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah, the first time I remember that while we were recording is shirtless Tim Allen.
Yeah.
Whoa.
There are a lot of callbacks this episode. This is like a review show. And as they start to make out, you get a loud knocking from upstairs and like an extremely like panicky, like Jason Voorhees is behind me type of knock.
Yeah, what the fuck? Who's knocking? Who knocks like that?
I mean, it ends up being big news, right? But that kind of knock, I don't think is like warranted.
That would make more sense if it was Arthur at the door, not the sister.
Or if Arthur died, not the stepmom.
Sure. So what happens is, well, before he leaves, he's like, you know, he was going to ignore it. Now he's going to have to address it. So he goes to leave, gives her a little like body flash, you know, to stay in the mood, like does the shirt lift before he runs off.
Carrie actually laughs here, and I think that was improvised because if you go back and watch this, when he pulls his shirt up and he's like, stay here, stay in the mood, she just like breaks really quickly. I feel like that was one of the best parts of the whole episode because it seems so genuine.
So Doug runs up to the front door and it's Carrie's sister, Sarah. And she's like hyperventilating. You know, she's traumatically like nervous. He's like, oh yeah, this isn't important. He just kind of like slams the door on her, starts walking away. And then through the mail slot says, Tessie died. Tessie is Arthur, Carrie's father's newest wife. It was weird, like, as he's like, oh my God, like, Tessie died, and they're, like, talking, but he still doesn't let her in. He's still, like...
Through the mail slot still.
I was kind of waiting for the sprinklers to go off because we've seen that trope twice in the past month.
Well, we got that.
And they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you talking about? They did.
My air conditioning must have been off for, like, an hour, and I was like, it'd be funny if they did that. We saw that twice. This is the second time.
She says she's wet.
Whoa, calm down,
Buddy,
Killer.
hey, we're trying to be PG here.
Take it easy.
We're not talking about Barbara. We're not talking about Barbara Bush anymore.
But yeah, no, apparently this girl had a heart attack. So now it's like, so how's your dad doing? It's like, well, he's pretty broken up. And that's when she's saying, you know, hey, your sprinklers just came on. And I still don't think he let her in, though. Like, the scene ends there.
No, he goes, "How's Arthur?" And he goes, "And how are you doing?" She goes, "Well, I'm a little wet. The sprinklers just came on."
But yeah, there was no continuation. That's how the scene ends. And then we kind of flash right to the next day. And it's like the services, which are, I guess, at Arthur's house.
I guess the wake is at the house. Like some people have parties at their house.
Yeah, some people
after.
kind of do those things at the house.
I thought he was at a funeral home.
It didn't look like a funeral home, though.
Isn't that like a Jewish thing?
Used to be. I don't know
You
now.
think of
I mean,
sitting Shiva.
Yeah,
is
sitting
not
Shiva.
Yeah,
which
isn't that
is-
what that? Well, that's for days though, isn't it? So
Yeah, that's for like a
yeah.
long period.
So whatever's going on, there's some sort of service. And they're saying like, oh, poor dad. He's, it's going to be tough on him with Tessie gone. He's going to be like heartbroken, And then you just see Doug going, oh, this isn't mustard from a jar. This is deli mustard. This was kind of like, Joe, I know you love mustard talk.
I do.
To me, this was like the first, they don't do a lot of this, but I was getting a little like, fucking dumb TV husband. And like, it was just a little too for me, like in that moment.
Also, I couldn't find the difference when I looked up. Deli mustard is just Dijon mustard, which
He's saying but he's saying it's not just something cheap they bought in the store. It's like the good stuff is what he's getting at.
I know that's what he's getting at, but it's almost as if like delis make their own in-house mustard.
right,
which
like a
isn't
deli's
what
not going to
happens.
have like you're just going to use like Dijon or what's the Grey Poupon?
I thought he was talking about like the stone ground, like yellow mustard, like the ones with the seeds in them.
I love
seed in
those. Yeah.
Me too.
There's one. It's like it's a German name. I can't think of it. Something Hofer. Or
Oh,
something like
mustard
that.
hoffer.
It's like it might be something similar to that, but yeah, it's really good.
When they cut over to Arthur, Jerry Stiller's character for the first time, and you just see him sitting there, he looked so sad. Like that kind of lost, I don't know what I should be doing right now. Like he's sitting all alone, like his wife just died. I don't know, something about just the way he looked in that moment, like got me.
One of the things that did bug me is just like Doug's like complete lack of empathy for the whole situation was like a little off-putting.
I think we needed a little more background of like, is Tessie like a brand new wife and nobody likes her? Is she the 8th wife, right? Like in a case like that.
It kind of is touched on earlier that it's his newest wife, so we don't know
Right.
how long they've been together, but yeah, this is a very weird way to introduce a character, by the way. It's like, this is the first time we're meeting Arthur and it's at his wife's services. Like, it's a very strange way to introduce a character.
But boy, is Jerry Stiller the best, and boy, does he make all of this scene.
You
Oh, for
don't
sure.
get enough of him
Yeah.
in this episode where
Yeah.
he makes this show and he's like, what do you get, like 3 scenes with him in the whole thing? Like, I would have liked a little more.
From what I read, like the creators of the show, like the intent was like, we're not giving Doug and Carrie kids. And essentially, like the theory was it kind of dates the show. Like there's the before kids and then the after kids episodes. So the idea is like, in a way, Arthur is their kid. You know what I mean? Like Arthur puts them in the weird situation instead of the kids.
And no child actor is going to be as funny as Jerry Stiller.
No. And so Doug walks up to Arthur and he's asking him how he's holding up. And you just see him like glaring over at some guy near the food. He's like, look at that guy. The freak at the buffet table. He's stealing food. He's like, see that
This
piece
is
of
such a
ham watch?
Seinfeld thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of Seinfeld, yeah.
Doug's like, he's making a sandwich. He's like, another one? Like, that's his third. And then the guy like looks over, he's like, yeah, you. I guess my wife's dropping dead made you pretty hungry, huh? Can you imagine being in that situation? Like, everyone's uncomfortable at these things no matter what. And then you're just like casually going to get a sandwich, and now the husband of the deceased is screaming at you for eating another sandwich.
And also, since Jerry Stiller doesn't know who he is, he's obviously friends with the dead woman. So, like, that's even weirder now.
After that, we cut to the inside of the kitchen, and Carrie and her sister are talking. And basically, the idea is like, we're probably gonna have to put him in a retirement home now. What's like the move here? Like, he has the house. Is he gonna be able to live in this house alone? Sarah currently lives with him, so now where is she gonna go? But she doesn't have any money saved, even though she's been living rent free with her father for all these years.
I appreciate in this scene that because Arthur's still alive, they don't have to go into the fight of like, well, if we sell the house, I can split the money, right? Like, that character so easily could have been like, I could take some money from the house sale and Arthur could take some money. Like, it's just understood that like he'd keep the money from the house sale still, or would pay for the home.
At this point of the episode, I'm confused why they're talking about putting him in a home because he seems like
I agree.
you don't get enough of him to realize that he's not senile and the sister's living there, so there's somebody to look out for him. So it's like, why the fuck?
They do make it make sense.
With the sister living there, though, why the fuck is this even a discussion? He's not alone. He has someone to look after him when he's in need and stuff.
The sister's flighty and not a good, responsible person to be there, though.
Tough. All right, you're living there for free. You watch that.
Hey, look, I agree with you, but you can't
Yeah,
make
obviously
people...
this is the time where you have to step up now, and this is where you make up for, having it easy up until this moment. Yeah, for sure.
She's a legitimate monster who puts an empty milk carton back in the refrigerator.
Also, too, I want to point out that this is perfect writing because it's just enough small dialogue regarding the sister and Arthur that we get the story, we get it. We might have questions, but we at least have something. Whereas like other shows we've done, especially recently, where they've just not said anything.
Yeah, I don't think we got enough of Arthur because, like I said, at this point I was confused because he doesn't seem senile or like he needs to be in a home.
No, but I guess in Gordo's defense, we're learning enough about like their living situation, so we're finding that out. They're not going into heavy detail, but we know that she lives with them and now she's going to look for her own spot. Like we're getting enough there. I kind of see where you're coming from with that. But somehow this turns into, where am I going to go if we put dad in a home? And Carrie's like, well, the conversation eventually evolves to, well, you can stay with us for a little while. And I'm like, you don't have to run that by Doug at all. You could just offer that.
Well, when she pays the mortgage.
Losing points is number one wife.
Gordo, Joe, like you live with your wives, like the idea of like a relative moving in is a conversation.
That's a conversation, yeah. That's not just a...
Even if it's like a conversation you can't say no to, like under the circumstances, it still has to be a conversation.
Sure.
Also, if Arthur's put in a home, why do they have to sell the house? Why can't the sister stay in the house?
Well, it's his house, so...
Yeah, which he could give to his daughter.
But she doesn't pay, she doesn't have any money.
Being in a home is not free, right? You have to pay for a retirement home and he needs money to live off of. So if he sold the house and gave him the money.
Yeah, he's got his retirement money.
Well, no,
stuff.
usually like staying in retirement homes are pretty expensive. Like a lot of the money from the house sale could potentially be going towards keeping you in one of those. You think mashed potato Wednesdays come cheap? I'll say like I've been in like, I was recently in one just for odd work. It was like non-related, but I found myself in one. And, you look at like the stuff on the walls and feel like they got it pretty good here. Like depending on the situation where you are, obviously, but if you are alone and like you like that companionship instead of just being old and alone in your house full of like memories, like, you can go to one of these places and you have people you can hang out with and you play games and they have activities and, not the worst.
I am fortunate enough to have 2 living grandmothers, both of which are in homes like that. And it really depends because one of them, not so great. One of them is like wildly fantastic. Like it's crazy. So it just really depends, I think.
But I think the idea of having people around you and the companionship, if you guys as a family can't allocate that time for them, like it's not the worst. Obviously, every situation is different and unique.
Yeah, I think it's situational.
It's great for old people, though. They're all just banging all the time.
Oh,
I've heard that, yeah.
They now with modern science.
Well, it's all STDs though. It's the highest STD rates.
Because they're all just banging because no one can get pregnant because they're all old.
Yeah. Yeah, the second they're like, I can't get pregnant, well, you're not wearing a condom. Come on. A what?
Oh no, Dale gave everyone crabs.
No, it's much worse than that. It's gonorrhea. One second, I had the list up. It's gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis going around the old folks'
Can you
home.
please tell me what the Google search was to get this list?
Old folk home STDs.
Yeah, but were you in private mode when you searched it?
No. Yes. Actually, incognito.
There it is.
No need for incognito.
There's always a need for incognito.
This is a perfect example.
Well, anyways, Doug walks in during this conversation and he's telling the girls how, their dad's been fighting with some of the mourners. And they notice like, hey, what's in your hand? And he just has like a piece of ham in one hand and like a glob of potato salad in the other, which is
A fistful of potato salad.
like just palming potato salad sounds so gross to me.
I'll be getting so warm in your hand too.
Ugh.
It makes for a good fight, though, throwing potato salad. Remember, Nick?
Yeah, Nick, you remember?
You guys having food fights out there?
I guess not. No, at Nick's birthday, we had a food fight one time, and it was a big potato salad fight.
Yeah, like just cleaning it off of parts of my house and shed and mowing it over with lawnmowers.
It would have been awesome if you grew potatoes, though, later, because you ran it over and it spread.
There's like a quick, like 2-second slow-mo video, which is still hilarious to me. And it's like, you just wish phones were better at that time, but it's just Ferg covered in potato salad being like hosed over. Maybe I'll put it in the stories this week. If someone reminds me, I'll try to get in the story on our Instagram. By the way, S1E1 pod, I don't think I mentioned that earlier, so make sure you go and check that out. We cut back and you see Arthur walking some of the people out after like kind of this situation's over. And one of whom's a priest, and he's like, hey, thanks for everything, Padre. You did a great job. Here, go get yourself an egg cream.
Do you know what an egg cream is?
I assumed it was like custard.
No, so an egg cream is like an old-timey New York thing. That movie where I was talking about earlier with Sebastian in it, like there's an egg cream scene. I didn't know what one was, so it's milk, soda water, and chocolate syrup.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's an awful treat.
Milk, soda water, and chocolate. That's not that weird.
Soda water and milk. I don't want bubbles in my milk,
The
man.
soda water ruins it.
Have you ever
I
had a
think,
root
but-
beer float?
That's
Yeah.
true.
But that's not soda water. That's flavor. That's root beer.
It's flavored. Yeah, but when you're adding other things to it, first of all, I have had this, and I only tried it because it's a fleeting scene in The West Wing. President Bartlett drinks one and talks about it for a second. I'm like, oh, that sounds really good. I tried it. It's not amazing by any means, but it's interesting. Like, I would drink it again. Like, it was good. I thought it was pretty good.
You know, I think I had the wrong egg cream because mine was just too creamy.
Was that was a joke? That was intended to be a joke when you said that?
I was making a cum joke.
Oh.
Egg cream?
And in what way? That means you drank cum. So how is that?
Good one,
Oh.
Gordo.
Oh, man.
Well, I guess it does transition to what Jerry Stiller's original line was that they cut.
I was going to bring that up. I didn't know if any of you guys had saw that.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Instead of saying, go buy yourself an egg cream, he says, go buy yourself an altar boy. And the network was like, yeah, we're going to cut
CBS
that.
is like, absolutely not.
Do you think that there were a bunch of cut scenes where he was just ad-libbing random
I'm
things?
sure.
At the
I'm
police?
sure. Just him yelling weird shit.
As brought up, he wasn't originally playing Arthur. So this was mostly filmed without him. It's kind of like that Danny Tanner situation where they used some old scenes. I mean, he's in enough that they obviously had to refilm nice chunks here, but there was a lot that was done without him. So depending on how much that would have sunk up with the script, I don't know. It's tough to say.
Oddly enough, though, he's so funny at everything he says, and we're wondering if he debated, went through things all the time, was throwing stuff out. But the funniest thing to me in this entire episode is something he does with no dialogue.
Which is?
Him in the car.
Yeah, him in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's real funny when you can just be face funny, You can just be visually funny enough to say anything.
The priests leave. That's when we get Doug and the girls kind of entering that room, and they're talking to Arthur. And like, hey, we have something to tell you. And Sarah starts by saying, hey, I'm going to be moving it with Doug and Carrie. He's like, oh, that's great. That's now I can turn your room into a little greenhouse to grow some of this stuff to help with my glaucoma. And they're like, well, there's actually a little bit more. We were thinking that maybe under the circumstances with Tessie gone, maybe it'd be better if, you moved into a retirement home. And this exchange was really great when he was like, well, I got 2 words for you. I'm staying right here. Like, that's 4 words. He's like, oh, is it? He's like, then I got another 4 words. Screw you. That's 2 words. You should really stop saying in advance how many words you can use. Yeah, he's like, he kind of locked in after that. Like, I like when he breaks the anger and gets on the same level as Doug to have that. Yeah, I'm really locking myself in at that point. Like, I don't, something about that come down from the rage, I think makes that whole like exchange even funnier.
It makes his character so much better, too, because it's not totally one note.
And they're saying like, hey, when left alone, you get yourself in irresponsible situations. Last time Tessie left you alone, you were trying to like reshingle the roof with no pants on and no shingles.
This is also a very Leah Remini thing that she does this throughout this episode and the whole show, where she like spreads out. She does it a few times in this. She's like, with no pants. And no shingles. Like she always has the like ... jokes.
So he's like, I'm not moving into a home. I built this place with my bare hands. You know, I'm going to live by myself. I'll take care of myself. I'm fine. And then you get that quick cut to boom, the house just engulfed in flames. And you just see him like looking up at it. I wonder if it's too late to get insurance.
That's right there, the scene where you're like, okay, now you understand why he can't live alone, right? Because he didn't have insurance for the house. But I just think they picked the most perfect, you know, stock footage of a house on fire. Like the most...
Yeah.
It was like too extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like take the whole block down type of fire.
Yeah, that's like you're just trying to save the houses near that house.
Especially in New York City. Or Queens,
New York
rather.
City.
That's where I get my salsa from.
What do you want on your tombstone, though?
Sausage and cheese.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
In the next scene, now we see Carrie and Arthur, and they're in the kitchen together when Doug walks in. And Doug's all excited because he just won $9 playing poker. And he sees Arthur. He's like, what are you doing here? And why does it smell like hickory smoked bacon? And that's when we find out that Arthur burnt the house down because he was cooking dinner on a 42-year-old hot plate, and the whole house went down in flames. He's like, you have a whole big kitchen. He's like, why the hell are you cooking on a hot plate? He's like, apparently it was his lucky hot plate. And then he defends the fact that it's lucky by showing he still has the hot plate. It survived the fire.
Hot plates are terrifying. They're like the most dangerous way to cook food. Like they're just like that. That's not how you should do anything.
This part bothered me a lot because the two of them start talking about him like he's not there. And like they keep going back and forth and he's sitting right next to him.
I think you could be mad in that case and treat him like a child, you know?
He didn't burn their house down. He burned his own house down and just lost his wife. Have some fucking empathy.
Yeah, I don't know how much time's passed. I assume not much, you know, but whether it's a day or whatever. But fresh off the heels of the conversation of, hey, Dad, we really think it would be best for you if you moved out, like, you know, because, you know, really they don't trust him to be alone. And he fights tooth and nail and immediately does something boneheaded and burns the whole house down.
Yeah, I think they're right to be a little angry. I also feel like there's a little bit of Doug knowing, like, this is going to land on my lap. You know what I mean?
And now Sarah walks in and he goes, and she's like, I guess I'll unpack now. And she just like dumps like a box of essentially ashes into the trash barrel.
I thought this was a very good gag.
It's a funny gag, but unnecessary when you think of the logistics of it. Like, why would you just carry a box of ashes just to like do this?
She brought in a prop to make their house stink, basically. Like, oh, great. Thanks a lot.
Doug
Your joke
and Carrie
was great.
are really going to find this hilarious. Yeah. She's got like, she's doing bits.
I just assumed it was Tessie.
Oh. This is one of those episodes where if you're a fan of ours, you're like, this makes sense. And then if you're listening to this for the first time, you're going, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
If you're listening to us for the first time, I doubt you've made it this far.
I don't know. Maybe they like our style of humor.
Reach out. If this is the first episode you've listened to and you're still around, let us know.
And made it this far to hear Nick say that. Yeah.
Arthur's doing the whole, I really screwed up, didn't I? And it's like, well, you know, at least no one got hurt. Sarah's okay. You're okay. That's the main thing. And he's going, you know what? No, I'm not okay. He's like, you know, I'm a stupid old fool. And he's saying, hey, you know, pick out one of those places for me to live and, you know, I'll go without a fight. And he's waving the white flag here. And he walks out of the room. But you get that, you know, they need a little bit of comedy here. So you see him dragging the hot plate with him as he's walking out of the room.
It's just so sad. He's so defeated. Also, that extra wear and tear on that cord, probably not helping things.
Yeah, well,
No, it's fine. It's lucky.
that's true. Nothing can take that hot plate down. And now we see Doug and Carrie walking down to the basement and they're having this conversation. And Doug's like, hey, you know, if you need me to take like a day off to help get some stuff together, like that's fine. And Carrie's like, hey, you know, I was just thinking, you know, I can't do this to him. I can't just stick him in some crappy home. And he's like, well, where else can we realistically put him? Like, there's no room. Like, we're already giving your sister, you know, the spare room. And then like this room here is, and then like, you know, obviously this is when it dawns on him that like Arthur's going to end up getting stuck moving into his place of peace.
This is bullshit.
It is bullshit. They work it out eventually, though, but you'd have to say goodbye to things that, like, we talked in an episode recently about how, like, having a pool table would be so amazing, but nobody has space for one, realistically. He has so much fun stuff. Like, where else is he going to put a drum set? There's nowhere else in that house.
In the alcove.
If only.
He'll have to kick Joey out. Useless, terrible comedian Joey.
Give the dad who's going to be there from now on the spare room and put the sister who's temporarily going to be there down there. So when she leaves, he gets it back. That'd be my solution. But also, my first solution would be, hey, let's at least look into a few of these places. Maybe they're nice instead of just instantly going to, he has to live here and take my room.
Yeah, I also think that too, maybe they don't have the money to afford it, you know? She also just spent, we think, like $6,000 on a TV, so...
Keep in mind, originally we were talking about this idea that he sells the house, you have all this money, you could use that towards paying for some of this stuff. He made it known when the house burnt down, he has no insurance. So you don't have the money from that sale anymore to help pay for some of these things.
Sell the land.
He will own the plot of land still, yeah.
And now she's crying just kind of at the thought of like the situation that her father's in. Her crying makes him cry, so now Doug's crying. And now in Doug's emotional state, he cracks and finally agrees, like, yeah, he can move in here. She gives them like oh, honey, are you sure? Like, yeah, he's like, this room's stupid anyways. And, she's telling him how he's the best. And she's about to go upstairs and she's like, are you good? And now he's really crying even more because he just realized he lost his room.
I like the character move here too. He's like, will you hold me? Like, that's a good way to get out of this scene.
They have a beautiful relationship.
Yeah, it's a very nice moment too.
And then from there, we cut to like Sunday, the Sunday that they were all like, first off, this is all within a 3-day time span. Did they have to couldn't they give him the one Sunday where he had the friends over? Like Arthur couldn't sleep on the couch for a night. Like they had to immediately take this room from him. He couldn't have one Sunday with the boys to watch football.
Did they have the wake the next day?
Maybe.
As we find out she dies on a Thursday, they go to a wake, the house burns down, and now it's Sunday.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. Let me be fair. Thinking about it again, we're under the assumption that the TV was supposed to be delivered on Sunday just because she said 3 days early. We're thinking that it's like Thursday when the TV comes in. The TV maybe wasn't supposed to come in on the day of football. Maybe it was a few days before that even. Maybe she just expedited it and got it there a little quicker regardless, just to have it.
My question in all of this is, why isn't that TV in the living room?
Maybe there's an even bigger TV in the living room already.
I mean, it's a giant TV. I couldn't have a TV that big in my living room. Like, it wouldn't work, right?
It depends on your setup for sure.
That's what I mean. Like, she might have just been like, it's not going to fit in here because then we wouldn't be able to have the coffee table.
It doesn't exactly
right?
fit in the bedroom.
Well, that's true too.
I kept looking at maybe you put it on the dresser. Like there has to be another way.
No, it's too heavy.
It is a dresser.
Yeah.
What you have is, also you can't put it in the living room because every living room in TV world only has 3 walls and then a big empty wall. So,
Yeah, but you could still do that because you never see the front of this TV. You only see it from the back. So it could be in front of the camera and you just get the back end of it for scenes.
Right, yeah. But we get the much funnier shot of the cut to the 4 boys all lined up sitting in the bed together watching football.
So it's funny. I didn't notice at the scene when this is where I should have noticed. I noticed at the end, but that bed is fucking giant. It's the biggest bed I've ever seen in my life. When Doug and Carrie are in it at the end, I'm like, my God, she could roll over 3 times and still be in the bed.
There was ample room for, not that they weren't shoulder to shoulder, but you have 4 grown men, with 3 grown men in Patton Oswalt, all shoulder to shoulder.
3.5 men.
Yeah.
Joe Gordo mentioned last time.
I mean, speaking of Gordo, one of your old roommates had one of those California king size beds. It was the biggest bed I've ever seen in my entire life. And we walked into her room to she was like, look at my new bed. And we're like, this is amazing. This is the biggest bed I've ever seen. But also for her to get up out of bed, you'd have to shimmy against the wall like they do in this. So it's like the pool table thing. You can do that and get those beds that size, but not a lot of bedrooms built around this part of the country can fit them.
No, that's definitely, you need a master bedroom and the space to be able to have that.
And this room does not have the space. I mean, I don't know. I understand that you never planned for this TV to be in this room, but the way that they have it wedged, there has to be some sort of an alternative way to get this in here.
My question though, they had to bring it up from the basement and then bring it up to the second floor. That would, you barely maybe make it out of the basement.
Yeah.
And that's with 4 guys who are prone to falling down the stairs.
See, that's the thing with those TVs. They're not super heavy. They're big, but they're not CRTs. So they don't have that giant glass tube. And so it's literally just a screen that something gets projected on from behind. So it's not a very heavy TV for its size.
Okay. It's just awkward.
But the way they have it right on the floor. Like there's nothing to lift it. So when they're watching, the whole bottom of the screen was cut off, so he couldn't see what the score of the game was.
Also, where did Richie get that big of bread? That is like a cartoon sandwich.
Yeah, you're forgetting where they live. Like, you can go to like 1,000 places that have sandwiches that big.
But he's not eating a sandwich that's like a sub roll cut down
It's
the
like
middle.
a loaf of bread.
Yeah, it's like he took a loaf of bread and cut it in half and then made a giant cartoon sandwich out of it. It looked delicious. I'm sure
I
there was
love the
great mustard
sandwich
on it.
talk in this show, by the way. As a man who lives and dies one sandwich at a time, man, shit.
I mean, that is very New York, you know? It makes sense.
Yeah.
Where most New York shows would focus on pizza, they decided to go the sandwich route, which is, I think, more of a New York staple.
They should have put Arthur in that room and moved the bedroom down into the basement because that basement is huge, and then they would have had plenty of room.
Yeah, but you can see behind them on the couch, like they have like the HVAC system, like just
Yeah, like
out
the
in
boiler's
open.
down there.
Yeah.
So like, there's a reason he's down there.
It's
and
like
not in the bedroom.
it's like half finished.
Also, there's no windows.
It's better than the claustrophobia their room gave me. All right, I would rather be in an unfinished basement because I
will
was
say
getting
some-
anxiety.
As somebody who's seen all the episodes, there is an episode where they do refinish the basement for Arthur to make it more of a bedroom, and it still is not a room you'd want to use as your bedroom.
When the guys are all sitting there and they're like kind of getting lost in the game, all sitting on the bed together, but Spence, which is Patton Oswalt's character, like pulls the covers up like over them all, like as if he's like actually just laying in bed, like as if he was alone almost.
He's so funny, and the fact that it's pink makes it so much funnier for some reason.
Just being yelled at to like pull the covers off and like the aggressiveness that went with it.
I mean, I can see that.
Put the blanket down.
Deacon and Patton Oswalt, both stars of Justified later on.
I've never seen that show.
It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It rules.
Really? The following conversation is based around the idea. Do none of them know what a duvet is? None of them have, like, is this more like, we're guys, we've never heard of a duvet?
Yeah, that's one of those gas leak scenarios where, like, you know what a duvet cover is.
I have no clue what a duvet is.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, it's basically a style of comforter.
Yeah.
Well, say fucking comforter.
Well, they are different, and you need to like get covers for them. Like, you don't wash the whole duvet. You have to like take the cover off.
That's what we have.
Yeah, some zipper at the bottom, some tie.
We had buttons. We have buttons on
Oh,
ours,
buttons.
and
Yeah, I've had a button one before.
The dog ate all the buttons.
That rascal doodle.
What's the point?
Because, all right, so when you have a comforter, my wife has explained this to me numerous times because she's a duvet person. When you have a comforter that has the print on it, you have to wash it. And washing a comforter becomes a pain in the ass. When you have a duvet and a duvet cover, you just take the cover off and you wash it. And that is what absorbs all of your oils and other oils.
You can also buy different ones to match different sheets and stuff. Like, we've got like a gray one and a green one, and it goes with different sheet sets you put on.
Exactly.
Still silly. You're silly.
It's not. You should join Team Duvet.
I'm on Team Duvet too. All right, I'm not on Team Duvet. I just like, use one, and I like the concept. Changing it is a nightmare, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the button ones are the easiest. The ones you have to tie at the bottom are the hardest.
You're adding extra steps. Just throw the comforter in the washing machine.
That's not as easy as you think it is.
It is. I do that. I do my own laundry.
well,
It's
yeah,
one of the few
for
things
your
I
twin
do.
size Ninja Turtles comforter fits a little better.
First of all, I have a
than
queen size bed, and it's a Disney comforter. It is not Ninja Turtles.
Do you, hold on, jokes aside, do you have a Disney comforter on your bed?
No, I have a Haunted Mansion one, which is technically Disney.
when jokes become reality.
Well, Ferg, I just know this. You don't get to choose to not be on Team Duvet.
Yeah, someday someone chooses for you is basically how that works, though.
Yeah. You go, oh, this is stupid. Why would I bother doing this?
Not in this castle where I'm king, baby.
In your haunted mansion.
This mansion, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
gas.
This is my mansion, baby. Kevin jumps out of bed. He heads downstairs to where like the kitchen is, and Carrie and Sarah are there. And the two girls are like having like a little bit of a, this goes back to Joe is talking about the whole milk situation, because apparently Sarah's returned the empty carton of milk to the fridge type of girl.
You should be shot for an offense like that.
I think that's a little extreme.
No, that's psycho behavior, and you're never going to learn. If you're already an adult and you put empty cartons back in the fridge, it's only going downhill from there.
You're never gonna learn, so you gotta get shot.
What's psycho behavior is when your sister's husband is shaving and you walk in the shower butt naked and fucking take a shower in front of him.
I'm not arguing. That's also psycho behavior.
Yeah. No, what would be psycho behavior is if you took the little bit of milk at the bottom and then you put water in the milk and pretended like it was still full.
Why would you? You're not stealing alcohol. It's like you would.
Do you know someone who's done that? That sounded like a real specific bowl.
Doodle, did you put water in the milk again?
Sorry.
I love you, Daddy. Doodle, on Father's Day of all days.
I was trying to make you scrambled eggs. So you guys have already brought it up. We have Doug, who's now it cuts to the next morning. They're all getting ready in the morning. Carrie leaves the bathroom. I keep saying Kevin. Doug walks into the bathroom. Doug's starting to shave. Sarah walks in. She's like, I need to get ready. Like, don't worry, just keep shaving. Don't worry about it. She gets in the shower, and yeah, you get that scene where you get the perspective, he's looking into the mirror. You see behind him her like full nude silhouette, like for even for the scene to work, honestly, she had to have been like maybe naked just with like her nipples taped, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like very form fitting. She's wearing something
you would
extremely
see any
tight.
lines otherwise, yeah. He's doing such a good job trying to shave here. Like, this is great shave acting.
This is great, super distracted shave acting.
Yeah.
I kind of like this. It gets brought up later, but in this scene, I'm like, are they like hinting at like what's going on? This is kind of out of nowhere.
This feels like a single white female scenario. It is very awkward and uncomfortable.
Was this scene, honestly, though, because like was this just thrown in so guys could see a hot girl like body silhouette?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I mean, I think it was that, but also it's a way to make it.
I don't know. I'm just thinking it was one of those things to catch people's eyes. So
She
like
was
first
in
impression.
4 episodes of this entire series, so maybe that's the only reason why.
Yeah, I assume Carrie found out and killed her because I don't remember her at all. Like, how are you that comfortable?
I don't think comfortable. I think selfish and aloof, right? It's just different. Some people just don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
I'm the last person who would say this. I would have almost thought it'd be funny if it was like someone used the toilet, whether it would be him or her.
Arthur coming in and taking a shit would have been way better. Pay no attention to me.
Instead of her, yeah, and he's like, keep shaving, and he just sits on the bowl. That would have been really funny.
No, like
actually.
both happening at the same time. Like she's showering, it's steamy and hot. He's trying to shave. Arthur comes in and takes a dump. And it's just like mayhem. That would have been way better, yeah.
So after this, we cut to like moments later. Now we see Doug like eating some cereal in the kitchen, and his face is just all cut up from shaving. He has like those little like pieces of toilet paper covering like the blood spots.
Has anyone ever done that before? Because I cut myself shaving sometimes, and I've never put the little pieces of toilet paper on. I feel like that's lost.
Joe, look around.
Well, before in the past,
When I was younger, I used to do it. Now I have one of the Nick sticks. Is that what they call it? I have a alum bar.
Yeah, Nick sticks are a brand, I think, but yeah.
I haven't touched a razor to my face in a long time. I think I did it before, but like out of curiosity because we see this stuff on television.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things our generation doesn't necessarily do that the past generation.
Razors have come a long way in our lifetime. That's not an issue we'd have to like handle. Early 90s, like in the 90s, there were cheap like 2-blade things, and I'm sure there was a lot more nicks than there are once we started shaving.
The idea, though, that he was so distracted looking at his sister-in-law's body that he just mutilated his face shaving was pretty funny.
Yeah, this is a good gag and a good visual follow-up.
Because Carrie's like, what happened to your face? He's like, I'd rather not say. After he says that, he'd rather not say. She's like, and you're still in your pajamas. What's going on? Don't you have to go to work? And he's talking about how the sister's been using the shower for so long without giving, like, the details we just saw. And she's like, did you try flushing the toilet? It's like, yeah, she just screams and keeps showering.
I looked this up. I know this works and I know it happens, and like it's a trope you use all the time. I looked up why it happens, and it makes the most sense in the world. Because your toilet uses cold water,
Yeah.
it takes away the cold water that's like tempering the hot water for a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's like the simplest explanation ever. And now I'm 38 years old, and I was like, why does it make the water hot and burn you?
Well, it's not a thing anymore, but I remember that growing up, that like my bathroom did that.
No, it depends on. I mean, if you still have a traditional water heater, it still happens.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's also the type of toilet you have.
Yeah, maybe there's just not enough water. They're more efficient now.
Well, I mean, don't some toilets have the pee pee poo poo?
Yeah, there's a dual flush now. You
Yeah.
use more water for number 2.
I always push the poop one when I pee. My way of getting back at the owners.
Oh shit, who brought the badass?
It's Ferg arrested next to Tom Selleck for watering his lawn. Just like these two water rebels.
Like, don't tell me how to flush.
So now Carrie's going to run upstairs and try to get her sister out of the shower. And now while I keep saying Kevin, while Doug is alone. Yeah, Doug's alone in the kitchen now. And you see Arthur come up from the basement. He's talking about how he slept like a baby. And also brings up that at 75 years old, he still gets morning wood. So that's something.
Good for
Good
him.
for him. Yeah. Good circulation.
It's because he's still eating and he just puts his food down after hearing that.
And then he immediately cuts him off for the shower, too, which is amazing.
We cut forward after that scene and we see Doug like at work, like physically driving the truck. And you get like that over the radio from dispatch saying that his wife is calling. It's like, yeah, put her through. Can you do that?
That should only happen in like an extreme, like, I'm having the baby. Like, that's when you get patched through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
But
would
even
be
then, I didn't even know, like, you
checking
can
in.
put a phone call through that kind of radio like that. I didn't even think it was the same frequencies.
I mean, you maybe if you put it up, I don't think so.
I was very interested by the idea. I didn't know if it was real technology or not.
I've seen it on like police shows before, but never like in like practice or anything. So I don't know how it would work considering how radios work, but I thought the joke would have been everybody on that frequency heard their phone call and made fun of them, but they didn't go that way.
Amateur radio operators with a transceiver in their vehicle can use a feature called Auto Patch to make phone calls from their radio and provide telephone network access from miles away. The distance depends on several factors, including the power of the transceiver, etc. But so, yeah, I guess it is possible.
Essentially, we find out Carrie's just calling Doug to just, thank him again for everything that's been going on and how much it means to the father and how she just spoke with him an hour ago and he said he was just going to spend the day just kind of hanging out in the house and, read. While she's telling him that, Doug's at a red light and you see Arthur pull up in a convertible with 2 escorts with him.
I died.
I just love that he's in like this convertiable lowrider too. For
Like,
some
where is
reason.
this car from? Where did he pick up these women?
He's so
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
And again, he doesn't have to say anything. He just smiles and gives a wave and pulls off, and it is perfect.
Now, I don't know when would be a better time to bring it up because we've already been talking about Jerry Stiller's, character here. Where do you think he does the best character work? Is it in King of Queens or is it in Seinfeld? Regardless of which show you might actually like more, where do you think
I think he
best?
just gets more opportunity in King of Queens. He's in every episode, right? So
I like him better as George's dad because he has the mother to play off of, and when
Yeah.
they fight, it's really funny. Plus, when he goes back and forth with George, he's great in this, but it's kind of just him going on his own rants. But when he has somebody to like go off of and get it back, it's really funny.
He's more unhinged in the show for sure.
I don't know. I mean, he's pretty unhinged in Seinfeld too.
Yeah, he's pretty much the same character.
I will say, too, I don't know because I didn't watch this on DVD. It's like in the streaming era or whatever, but I have all the Seinfeld DVDs from when they came out. And there were just like so many clips of him making everybody laugh so hard they can't finish the scene.
Yeah, what's her name? Julia Louis-Dreyfus she said it's like essentially impossible to work with him.
Yeah, to not laugh when
Yeah.
he's doing stuff. So I agree. I think he's better in Seinfeld, but he's just given way more time here.
We cut to Doug, Carrie, and Arthur all in the living room after that. And they're basically scolding him for like the situation he was just in. Did he have to tell on him? Was it that bad? Like,
No, I think this was just like a boiling point.
That was a straw that broke the camel's back.
But what was so bad? He didn't do anything bad to him. He was just driving around with some hookers. No big deal.
No. So what you're forgetting here is in the phone call from Carrie, she says how great Doug is being and how proud of him she is and how happy she is that, you know, he's making her dad be better and he's going to stay and read a book all day. And then he sees it. That's what makes him explode. He tells on him because of what Carrie told him first. I think if he just saw him out on the town, he would have been like, whatever.
I think that's almost a whole episode you can build around something like that, you know, and save that for him casually being out and spotting him do something. Like that's a whole story, you know?
Or just to casually see him with escorts in like every third episode randomly.
He's also living with them because he can't be trusted alone. And when he's now he's driving a car with hookers. Like
When they ask him, he didn't get the hookers for sex, according to him. He was just lonely and he was going to a movie and he just needed some company.
Incorrect, because we have in the past, everybody in this room attempted to see if sex workers would not have sex, and it did not go well.
I can say it's so weird when you think that it was like 20 plus years ago, but 20 plus years ago when we were prank calling hookers, found out pretty quick that there is no amount of money that can convince them to like just play basketball with you.
You say prank calling, but if they said yes, that would have been a situation. Yeah, so that's not a prank call. That's more of an informative, you know, questioning call.
Yeah, we were doing research.
Can you get in trouble for that?
No.
It's not illegal to solicit somebody for something other than sex.
Yeah.
Soliciting sex is a crime. Soliciting a person is just paying somebody. I guess technically it'd be under the table and you'd be...
So let's say an officer recognizes this sex worker, right? And even though he identifies her, knows like her history and stuff, and that you're out with her, you have to be caught physically doing something. The fact that you're doing something like basketball or anything else, like you're in the clear until they physically see you do something wrong.
Yeah, because you're not committing any crime at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I don't know if you guys watched Cops a lot growing up. I watched Cops.
I did.
Religiously. And it used to be on all the time until it got moved to whatever network. But there are so many episodes where they just catch people in the middle of having sex. And it's always the most like depressing, weird situation. But
That's also one of those things I think really varies state by state.
yeah, I mean, like, well, in Nevada, right, there's different laws for that stuff. And yeah, I just think you have to be either in the act or you have to be caught soliciting. Like, if you say, I'd like to pay you $30 for sex, that's a crime.
That's not a bad deal. $30.
Well, depends on what you're getting. I don't know. I'm cheap.
Those cheap Maine hookers.
We were offering above average to play basketball, play a simple game of hoops.
To be fair, I'm sure any one of the people in that situation was like, oh, this is a way to get me murdered.
I do like when they're saying, you didn't have to embarrass me in front of my hose.
Yeah, when he called them a hose, it got me so good.
I did not expect that. I mean, this show has, this is the third time it's like pushed the envelope. You don't get this out of sitcoms, right? And he's done it 3 times now.
Especially this one's pretty wholesome, and it's got a few of those scenes that just come out of nowhere, which is very effective.
This is also almost 30 years ago now, too. It's crazy.
Sarah walks in and she's like, hey guys, I was thinking about having a party here. Is Tuesday okay? And this is when Kevin, oh geez, I take a shot I wonder how many he DV'd me. If you guys go back, start from the beginning, take a shot every time one of us calls Doug Kevin.
One of us? You mean you?
Also, you know she's unemployed because no regular person would be like, yeah, let's go rage it on a Tuesday at an adult age.
How old is she supposed to be?
Probably young mid-20s.
I mean, if Carrie's 27, I'm guessing, maybe 25, 24.
When we were partying a lot. At this point, Doug's like, enough's enough. This is my house. I pay taxes. We're not doing any of this stuff. No parties, no hookers. And then no jumping in line for the bathroom making me late for work, and certainly no naked soapy silhouettes getting me all hot while I'm trying to shave. Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Heat of the moment, he's just letting it fly, and
you just told your wife that her sister got you turned on.
Well, then he backtracks and says it was Arthur.
Yeah.
I was trying to say it was Arthur, yeah.
I also thought that Carrie's look to him was not good enough for what she just learned. She just kind of gave him like a, like not a what the fuck, there's no like anger or extreme curiosity behind that.
She can't be angry. He's put up with a lot. So he's doing a lot for her and her family. She's got to take the high road with this one.
I just think it's to say in front of your wife that seeing her sister all soapy got him hot was a bold move, a really bold move.
That's the sister's fault. If she wants to be all soapy around him and whore it up, that's her. That ain't Doug's fault.
I mean, look, all the blame does go on Sarah in this situation. She was clearly very wrong in this move. Also, that house is big enough for a second bathroom, right?
Well, buy a lock for your bathroom door.
Yeah.
Yeah, also that. Although I guess my bathroom doesn't have a lock upstairs.
It's not something that should ever be an issue. Yeah, usually within your home.
Also, too, you have to remember that this got thrown on them. Like my wife and I, we don't have doors on our bathroom. I mean, we don't have.
You don't have any doors at all?
No, we don't have doors at all.
We don't
which is-
believe in doors.
It's very European. Everything's open and free.
Yeah. No, but everything got thrown at them. So why would you think to have a lock on your door when you don't really need one when you have a routine with your wife?
Because they have guests and stuff. You don't want someone walking in when you're taking a dump.
Nobody does that. You know, if there's one bathroom, just
I've seen a
fucking
million
lock.
bathrooms with locks on them. That's not a crazy thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And we have one in our downstairs bathroom, but that's the company bathroom.
It's a pretty big house. I'm surprised it doesn't have like at least another half bathroom.
That's what I mean. It should have a half bath or something. I mean, that wouldn't help him for showering, but it would
help for shaving.
help for shaving.
You could definitely have bath in the basement at this
Yeah.
point.
And the basement, probably a full bath, how big that basement was.
Basement bathrooms are always a problem.
Oh, like plumbing wise?
Yeah, because they're on the same level as the pipes, right? So
Yeah.
there's no gravity. Yeah, I deal with that.
They make those crazy ones now with the really thin pipes where it like chops up everything.
Oh yeah, it's like a fucking weird poo blender in there.
Yeah, it's made for basements and for like small rooms and like attics and stuff where there's like the pipes like as wide as like the microphone boom stand, and it like has like little razor blades in
Like
it. So when you
impellers,
flush,
yeah.
it just cuts everything up so it can fit in a small pipe, so it can actually have the pressure to go up.
Can you dispose a body?
Cut it really small.
No, yeah, no. It's mainly just made. It's for cucka coleslaw, basically. You know.
Oh, cuckslaw.
Just go back and listen to when Joe started talking about this and see when Jay said that. And that's how long it took Jay to come up with cucka coleslaw.
No, I do something that a lot of the people on the show don't like to do. It's wait until people are done speaking and then speak.
Cucka coleslaw. All right.
In any event, later that night, we see Doug in bed and Carrie walks up. She's about to join him. And she's saying, Sarah's out. Dad's, in the basement for the night. She's trying to say, hey, maybe now's a good time for us to fornicate. And he's sad in bed because his life is now in shambles. He's like, I'm not in the mood. And she says, why not? I feel fat.
That came out of left field.
Yeah, I feel like that was, it was funny because it's like the role reverse, right? Usually you see that conversation the other way. But, really, even if he is a bigger dude, and the conversation that follows is more kind of like a real, like, no, I've told you, just husky, and they have that conversation. But really, it's the sadness of his situation. So I think it took away from that conversation. Eventually, it does get into I just miss the way things used to be, and when it was just you and me, and we had the house to ourselves, and we could watch the top and bottom half of a movie. And she goes, I know, me too, but look at it this way. Sometimes the top half of a movie is all you need, right? He goes, I guess you're right. And then goes, wait, top half of a movie? The hell does that mean?
I really liked that they didn't just let that be like a sentimental line, that he had to be like, that makes no fucking sense.
And she's like, it means nothing. We haven't had sex in a month. So, if you want to talk, let's just talk after. So I did like that. I thought that was I like that she was trying to comfort him, didn't have anything, got called out on it. Those little things, I think, make it real. I think it was the same as when I said earlier, when Arthur is like, 4 more words that he gets called out on. Like, I like that little kind of break from it. But yeah, they're the two are about to start making out, or do start making out, and it's finally going to be sex time again. And, we get the lights flickering.
I love that you get electricity crackle noise and the lights flickering, not just a full blackout. So you actually kind of get what's going on. It's not like you wouldn't be questioning like, oh, did a transformer in the street blow, right? Like you can tell that something's sucking the energy.
And it's the question, like, did you confiscate your dad's hot plate? I should have, shouldn't I? It's like, let's just keep going until we smell smoke. I don't think a total blackout would have been bad either. I think either would have kind of worked in the situation because there's only another couple lines of dialogue.
Either works.
If it goes black, you still hear them talk, right? So you get the lines, and like with the assumption that they're just gonna have sex, you know,
In the dark.
yeah, it's like because then it could go dark, and then he can make a comment about how he's gonna be all right taking his shirt off or something like that, you know.
Or a joke like, but I like it with the lights on. Like, there's like different directions you can go with it.
I always wanted to have sex by candlelight. But yeah, no, I mean, you could have went either way with it, I guess. But that was the conclusion of the episode. It has that like sitcom kind of like little punch joke at the end.
But it misses the of that theme song that just needs to punctuate the end, you know?
I know.
Like I said, I've never really watched a lot of King of Queens growing up. I mean, I saw my share, I guess, but wasn't a show I watched religiously. So it was interesting to kind of go back on this one.
For me, I have a intrinsic thing with it where when we were like in the process of buying this house, which is a very, very stressful and insane situation, and you're waiting back on like, did they accept the offer? Did the inspection come back? Like all this stuff. That's when we decided to watch this because we thought it would be like funny and low stakes and not like be something to stress out about. So I'll always sort of hold this in a special place because it helped me to not freak out for like an entire month of my life.
Yeah, I just think this is definitely one of those, you know, we talk about like just a real classic style sitcom, the multicam, the studio audience. They're easy watches. And like we said before at the top of the episode, this is the type of show you can just kind of put on and not even pay attention, and you just kind of glance up. Doesn't matter what's happening. Like you look up, Arthur does something funny, a couple of funny exchanges. You don't have to be all in on it.
Studio audience, 22 minutes. That is to me a perfect sitcom.
It was weird going back seeing this first episode because there are characters that I'm used to seeing. You know, we brought up like Carrie's friend, and then one of Doug's friends who like I always he's another comedian. What's why do I want to say his name's Valentine?
Gary Valentine's his brother.
Yeah, exactly. So like I always associate him with the show. I don't know when he came in, but like when because I've saw less of it, but when I think of this show, I think of him. So to not see him in this episode kind of flagged to me a little bit.
I can't remember if he comes in when Richie goes out. Richie, I think, is in like the first 2 seasons, maybe.
No, he's in before that.
Is he?
Pretty sure.
Well, to do a quick look up, let me see. He did 136 episodes, and although that's a lot, I mean, the show has 207. So he basically missed 70 episodes of the show. So he probably came in it started in 99. He wasn't in the season at all.
If I remember correctly, him and Patton Oswalt move in together, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
He comes in at the very end of season 1. He's in 1 episode of season 1, 2 episodes of season 2, 3 episodes of season 3, and then it looks like from that point on, he's a regular.
Yeah.
So just a couple guest spots, and then they were sold on him. That's weird. So like he was involved from season 1, but it wasn't really until season 4 that he was like completely in the fold.
Yeah, and like you said, Nancy Sullivan comes in as like Arthur's sort of caretaker, and she becomes a huge part of the show for the vast majority of it as well.
And as I'm looking up Gary Valentine, not to tangent because he's not in the episode, is he like shoot best friends with Kevin James? Because he's in like almost every movie he's in.
They're brothers.
They're real life brothers?
Yeah.
Wait, Richie?
No. Gary Valentine is the guy who plays his brother on the show later.
Oh.
Huh.
Not to be confused with Gary Valentine from Blondie.
So what's the actual family name?
Valentine.
Probably that. I mean,
Wait, are they related to a Greg?
Nipfing.
The hammer.
where the fuck did all right. Well, I can see why they don't go by Nipfing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his real last name, Nick Finn?
Nipfing, Knipfing.
On this topic, this is off topic, but kind of on topic. I had no idea that Tom Cruise's last name was not Cruise.
That sounds like a fake name, though.
But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, it's his middle name, so it's not totally fake. But his real last name is Mapoffer, which doesn't really flow as
I
well.
understand why he changed it to Cruz.
Yes. Tough to be a sex symbol with Mapoffer.
Yeah.
Also, I blindly assumed that Kevin James's middle name was James, and that's why I went with that. It's not. It's Kevin George Nipfing.
It's a weird thing. People just take, I mean, it's like a very Hollywood thing, right? You take different names. Musicians do it, actors do it, comedians do it.
We should come up with our own stage names.
Yeah, like changing your last name to Estevez.
Well, no, isn't the real last name Estevez?
Yeah, the real last name is Estevez.
Martin Sheen took the stage name Sheen. Martin Sheen is his stage name. They're all Estevez's in real life. Martin Sheen took the name Sheen as a stage name. So then when his son Charlie got into acting, he took his dad's stage name as his own. Like that was like his surname.
Yeah, also, Martin Sheen, I'm pretty sure his first name is Ramon.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Oh, Ramon Estevez.
I wish we'd see Emilio more. I love Emilio so much.
Ramon Gerard Antonio Estevez is
He
Martin
was on
Sheen.
that. He was on the Mighty Ducks show, the season 1 of it. It's not quite sitcom though. I thought that show actually had promise too, but I mean, that's a story for another day. We've been talking about
I
this.
thought
for a
so
while.
too, yeah. And then there was like a big contract dispute with Emilio.
But in any event, this is getting a little long, so I think we really should get into the green light or cancel. So I'll go in the order I see you guys in. Joe, we all know what you're going to say, but go ahead and start.
Yeah, I mean, I said a lot about this, right? I mean, I just love this show, and it got me through a very stressful time, so it's got a very sort of happy place. And it is just background 22-minute actual live studio audience. I don't know, I can watch shows like this all the time. And coming right off of Seinfeld, I'm so glad that an actor like Jerry Stiller, who was older, not a lot of people in that age range get to be given this much stuff later on in their careers, and he just did so well. I did so much in this show that it was so much about him. I also am a huge Patton Oswalt fan. I think we've talked about that on here before. I just think this is one of the better 90s sitcoms, and I'd probably end up eventually at some point rewatching it again, so it's a green light.
Ferg.
Yeah, much like Joe, green light. Got a very likable cast. Everyone's pretty funny. I love everyone's relationships. Everyone has good chemistry. When your only issue is like that timing on the show is a little confusing, that's a good problem to have because that means everything else is going well, that you're looking at something stupid. So, easy green light.
Nick.
Yeah. Ignoring anything you may know about this show, which is tough to do because it's, just, on so often. It's still a green light. It's just really does check all the boxes. And like Ferg said, the cast is great. And that's with, even if you were to try to ignore the fact that you know all these people and you have for so long, if you just try to step in the shoes of somebody who's witnessing them for the first time, it's still great. Like there's no, I don't think there's any nostalgia clouding this. I think it's very easily a well put together sitcom. The writing is great. The acting is fantastic. And it's just, I don't know, I definitely want to keep watching now and kind of give it a little more dedication than, just having it on in my mom's kitchen background, as it was for so many years. So yeah, easy green light.
Gordo.
Yeah, I'm not going to rock the boat here. It's always been funny. Like Nick said, like I never went out of my way to watch it, but when it was on, it always made me laugh. I mean, I couldn't tell you how long it's been since I've actually watched this show, so I don't remember anything really from it. But this episode made me laugh and made me want to continue watching it. Like, I wouldn't say no if episode 2 rolled on right now. I would absolutely watch it. So Kevin James is a great actor and a funny comedian when put in this role. And, so is Leah Remini and Jerry Stiller, like A+, like one of the easiest green lights ever. Green light.
Yeah, listen, it's weird. Like I said, I never watched a lot of the show in the past. I've seen, I guess, my share. And despite kind of openly being like Kevin James was never like my favorite dude, I don't hate him. Because I think you guys have said many times in the past that I hate Kevin James. It's not true. I don't hate him. I did really enjoy this. I think this has like all the right components for just like a good, fun, easy watch classic sitcom. I can understand why it went for so long. Great chemistry. Obviously, they toyed around with some of the casting stuff later on, as we find out. Just that core group, Doug and Carrie's relationship, I think is great. I think they bounce off each other really well. And having that, I like the idea that the creators went with, instead of just giving them children, to just give them Arthur. I think that really worked out. And I had fun watching it. So easy watch. I would watch more. I don't know if it's a show I would necessarily binge front to back, but you never know. I didn't hate it, that's for sure. So green light for me. Congratulations to King of Queens. You get a perfect 5 out of 5. So I want to thank everybody who listened. Go to S1E1pod.com. That's you can find all the links to our social medias. S1E1pod on Instagram, X, all that stuff. Make sure you go on to all your audio sites, rate, review, subscribe, leave us reviews. That stuff helps us a lot. And when you're on our socials, hit us up with a DM. Let us know shows you want us to do, how you found us, things like that. General chit chat. You got comments. We like talking to you guys. Genuinely like talking to you guys. So, but that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you again next week with another new episode. But until then, thank you. Goodbye.
I think we got the best boy hole.
It works.